Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer with the DRF Race of the Day for Wednesday, November the 13th. It's race number 10 at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Let's throw up the field for this nice second-level allowance race with a $50,000 claiming option. It's for 3-year-olds and up. $49,680 is the purse, and a quality field of 9. Remember to access free Formulator Past Performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Take a look. Handicap along with us, the 2 morning line favorites, Indiana breds, the 2 Molly's Town, the 3 Latigo. They're very familiar with each other.
Yeah, there's not that much separating them either. It doesn't seem like, Dan, from their meetings on the racetrack. They're very logical in here. I understand why they're the 2 morning line favorites in here, and probably they're the 2 horses to beat. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed in their most recent start, but maybe there's some kind of an excuse for that.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. We're going 3/4 of a mile. We see some horses with some speed. Breaking from the rail, WW Scout's Honor just went gate to wire at FanDuel Racing in Chicago. That was a nice performance. Bow Street, though, has some speed. So does the number 2 Molly's Town, who wasn't able to really make the lead last time out, but she likes to push the pace.
Yeah, he likes to be forward. I think the 1, is kind of, he looks a little bit like a one-way kind of horse, Dan, from the rail. The 4, it has speed. He certainly showed speed last time. I didn't look at him as a horse who necessarily needed the lead to be effective, so we'll see what they decide to do with him. I did think this pace could be pretty solid, though.
And if it is hot, keep an eye on the number 6. That's Echo Again. Note the LP flag over Echo Again's Chiclet. This Steve Asmussen train runner has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. Let's start things off with the most recent victory from the number 1, WW Scout's Honor. This is the first start since April. WW Scout's Honor had been campaigning at Oaklawn, but he's an Illinois bred that runs very well at FanDuel, and he went right to the front in this race, and he controlled an easy pace, Mike. 47-1 to the half. No wonder he's able to sprint on home with an 84 buyer.
Yeah, immediately clear from the gate in here, and there was just no way this field was going to beat him. You don't need to, obviously he never faced a challenge there. You don't need to judge him off of that race first back from a pretty long layoff there. I thought he ran fine, and he's got faster races to get to. From the rail here, maybe he's got to go a little bit. Man, don't be surprised, though, if he can beat this field at a pretty fair price, because this horse is pretty good.
Molly's Town is the number 2, a multiple stakes winner last year as a 2-year-old against Indiana bred competition. Molly's Town has not been off the board from 7 starts this year at 3, including this effort last time out at Horseshoe Indianapolis, where he battled for the early lead along the inside, couldn't go with the winner on the turn, now gets to the outside. Pretty game to hold second over Latigo, who's the number 4 in here. Never looked like the winner, but another solid performance, and if you believe the fig, that 91 puts him in strong contention.
Yeah, it definitely does. I don't know. I don't know how much I believe the fig, because it seems like a huge jump up for the winner of that race, kind of out of nowhere. I don't know, Dan. I mean, he didn't run bad in there. Neither did Latigo, but I just thought both of them were kind of disappointing in that race. And when you go back to the races 2 and 3 back, listen, they sort of traded decisions there. The race 3 back, I didn't see his excuse to lose to Latigo that day. He just was no match. And then 2 starts back, he got the job done, but it was hardly decisive. I don't know, man. I was disappointed in his most recent start, and he's going to be a short price in here, so I kind of went looking elsewhere.
While Latigo was beaten by Molly's Town as the odds-on favorite in the race we just saw, this guy's got a late start to 2024. Maybe he's rounding himself back into shape. This will be his 4th start of the year. He got the better of Molly's Town off the layoff. He's finished behind that horse in his last 2. Thought he ran fine last time out, but certainly not to the standards of an odds-on favorite. What I do like is he's tactical enough that if he doesn't get the lead, he might be able to sit sort of the catbird seat and get the first jump on the true closers.
I like that about him, too. He's the one I prefer of the 2 shorter prices in here. Again, there's not that much separating them, but if you told me I just had to take either the 2 or the 3, I'm taking the 3. I thought he beat Molly's Town fair and square in his first start back off the layoff, and I just felt like in their second meeting there back at the end of September, I just felt like he gave away too much early position there, and then he just couldn't quite track that horse down, but I thought he ran fine. Again, I was disappointed in his last race, too, but I still prefer him over the morning line favorite.
If you're looking for a long shot that ticks some boxes, how about the number 4 Bow Street, a very lightly raced, beautifully bred son of Into Mischief, who reeled off 2 in a row at Horseshoe Indianapolis. He's unbeaten over this surface, and then they tried the big boys last time out at Keeneland in a high-level allowance race, and he battled on a very fast pace. against a horse world record who I think is already a graded stakes winner and just happened to be odds on. He's getting some class relief here, and he has speed.
It seems like significant class relief too. He didn't run great last time, but that pace was fast, and he wound up on the lead there, which I thought was actually kind of surprising. And he just paid the price. There's races 2 and 3 back. They suggest he was trending the right way. He looked really good winning both of those races. He did it without the early lead too, so that could be key in here. It feels like he's going to be a very fair price. I thought there was a lot to like.
Mr. Chaos is up next, and this guy is a really rock-solid veteran. He's hit the exacta in 15 of 24 starts as he seeks his 10th lifetime win. He was 4th last time out in a similar spot, an open second-level allowance race. It was a race, though, where he broke from the rail. He ended up down inside for most of the way. I think if you give this horse a fast pace, he can at least crack the exotics at a very square mutual.
It feels like he might have something to run at here, so that could certainly help his chances. I guess he didn't get a great trip last time, Dan, but when I watched it back, I wasn't sure that it really cost him all that much. I thought it was a pretty tough call. I know in the race 2 starts back, he was just no match for Molly's Town and Latigo that day. I just didn't think that he ran that well, a distant third. And then you start going through, listen, we've seen plenty of this horse. He's 5 years old now. This is going to be his 25th career start. He hasn't byred out of the 70s yet. He's just going to have to run the race of his life to win here.
I'm not sure, Mike, but I think Echo again was Steve Asmussen's sort of record-breaking winner at Saratoga a couple of years ago when he won first time out, and he showed a lot of promise. He ended up being stakes placed at 2. Unfortunately for Echo again, he just hasn't gotten better as he's gotten older. Here's his most recent start. He's been stuck in the second level condition for a while right now. He's the gray. He sat on the outside in this race, and he's going to finish up evenly for 3rd. His Beyer speed figures are solid. They are not spectacular, but maybe he gets a better race flow here.
Yeah, maybe he does. I just didn't really like this performance that much, Dan. I don't think he had some kind of an excuse in this race as far as pace goes. I thought he was always in position to be effective here. He was the favorite. He never really made a race of it through the stretch. I just thought that was a disappointing performance. A horse who, after the big win on debut, they obviously thought they had something there. They tried to stretch him out and make him, I guess, maybe a Derby horse, and that didn't happen. Ever since they've cut him back this year, I just don't really see the improvement, Dan. I'm not sure how good this horse is, and I'm assuming he takes money in here.
Commander Storm, the number 7, sort of exploded to a race that came out of nowhere. Let's watch his most recent race. This is an Indiana bred who's always been okay. It's a first level allowance seat, an open first level allowance seat. Commander Storm stays up close to the pace, is going to run by this 9-5 shot King of Kentucky. And not only doing that, gets a 90 Beyer speed figure. Has he figured the game out all of a sudden in start number 16, or should we view this race with some skepticism as he steps up in class?
I mean, I guess it depends on, in some ways how you felt about it before that one. But listen, if you feel like that's a legit performance, then I think you're just supposed to sort of stay positive on him because he's going to be a big price in here. I don't think there's any reason to knock this horse coming off of a really fast race and one where he's probably tactical enough to get the right kind of a trip in here. I don't like him in here, Dan. I'm not betting him off that performance, but if you did like that performance, I think you're supposed to stay positive on him at 20-1 on the morning line.
The number 8, Childers, moves from one high percentage trainer to another. Brittany Russell to Michael Maker. Maker's going to take the blinkers off here. An interesting move. I'm familiar with Childers when he raced with Brittany in the Maryland circuit, whether it be turf or whether it be dirt. I always thought he was okay. The last time he ran on dirt was his first race off a little bit of a layoff. I didn't see much of an excuse that day other than the layoff. The 4th place horse from that race came back to place for a $32,000 optional at Delaware with a 79 Beyer. He does have some tactical speed.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't really love about him is they make I don't mind them making a surface switch here off the trainer change. He just kind of feels to me like a horse who wants to be involved early, and I just wonder if this pace is going to be a little bit too much for him to have to deal with off the layoff.
Field Day is going to be making his first start off the claim for a barn that does well with these sort of horses, and he's shown a recent bullet workout indicating he might not regress from this good performance off of a lengthy layoff. This is his first start in about 10 months, and I realize it's a 4-horse field. He gets wired in here. He was up close to the pace. He's going to try really hard to finish second. No real excuses on the racetrack from a trip standpoint, but it's his first start off a 10-month break. The connections dip in for 40 to take him. They obviously like what they saw.
Yeah, and they're going to enter him for dirt for the first time in his career. This horse has won on dirt 3 times. They were all races that were scheduled for grass that got rained off. So his prior 2 trainers, both really, really good trainers, they weren't looking at him as a dirt horse, but this guy is. And I'll tell you what, Randy Klopp, look him up in Formulator. This horse this trainer has great numbers. He doesn't claim a ton of horses, but he has great numbers off the claim.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Wednesday DRF race of the day. You're going with Bow Street. I think at the price, that's the one. 10-1 on the morning line. Drops in class with some speed. I'm worried I didn't use him higher in my picks.
Yeah, it's more of an anti opinion for
Yeah.
me too, Dan. I mean, the two favorites, I think they're both really good. I just don't really like that most recent race that they're coming out of, and I just thought maybe I saw an opening there to try to beat the 2 and the 3. I'll try to do it with the 4.
I'm not sure I'm going to get too involved in this race because my top 2 picks are the 2 morning line favorites. Molly's Town, I give a slight edge over Latigo, just overall consistent performer and figures to be right in the thick of things when they turn into the stretch. I'm really curious to see what we get from Commander Storm. Where did that last race come from? And if that race is legit, he's going to be a price and he has a chance with the right running style. 4326 for Mike, 2376 for me. Wednesday race of the day, the 10th at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Best of luck.
Hey friends, you look like you're in need of a winner. If you enjoyed the great content right here, just click and subscribe right here and enjoy the great DRF.com race of the days, the phenomenal stakes previews, and so much more. Many of that content featuring me and my exceptional selections. Trust me, you won't regret it.